Charles, welcome back to the show, man.
How you doing? Good to see you again.
You seem a little frustrated today. What's going on?
Oh, I don't even know where to start. There's a lot of things that frustrate me. I mean, currently we've got
Uh,
this Catalina Island deer eradication thing going on. We've got wolves being delisted. We've got
maybe.
the potential um, politics, of course, in CDFW and just being blatantly exposed. And it's trying to figure out what to do with it, trying to figure out, how do we solve these things? How do we apply pressure? How do we get enough people to say we've had enough? Is that even possible?
Hmm.
Um, I'm willing to try though. So that's what I've been on the phone all day with different people and lobbyists and all that kind of stuff, tossing around some better ideas and
Yeah.
always got something to do.
Well, let's talk about something that is kind of close to home for you, because we're
Yeah,
going to talk about Catalina Island, and we're also going to talk about wolves today. Those would be the two
sure.
primary things that we're focused on because they are very time sensitive issues, and you've invested a lot of your time, blood, sweat, and tears, money into this documentary I just watched, by the way, Killing Catalina.
Yeah.
And that just came out, what, last week?
One one week ago,
Uh-huh.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think we're gonna hit 100,000 views on YouTube today, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you ever made a documentary before?
No, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have absolutely. I went there. I didn't even go there to film a documentary. I was filming it just to gather some intel and use for social media a little bit, and then it turned into this as I got deeper and deeper. I wish I would have went there with the intent of filming a documentary because it would have been way better, just looking
Yeah.
better and all that. But no, we were screwing around.
Well, I
And
thought it turned out pretty good. I mean, it's an hour and 20 minutes,
yeah,
very insightful, lots of useful information. Interviewed a lot of folks who have vested interest in the mule deer population on Catalina Island, one way or the other. So this is the same Catalina Island from Step Brothers fame,
this
just
is it. The wine
Catalina wine
mixer.
mixer.
They've got it there every year.
So you have to get there by boat or helicopter?
Yeah, most people by boat. They got
Uh-huh.
the ferries that leave from three or four different locations on the coast, and yeah,
So it's a pretty swanky place, huh?
it is. It's a really cool place. It is swanky, but then it's also super local and like I don't know if I'd want to call it blue collar. There's probably a better word, but there's some super rad people who live there. I mean, some of
Uh-huh.
the just different people for sure, of all sorts, and I got to meet a lot of really cool people. We did our
Mm.
premiere there last Monday on the island, and 127 people showed up to watch it, which was cool because we had like a week to plan for this.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a success. And then coincidentally, on the same day that we released the premiere, CDFW started signing the permits for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm 100% under the impression they didn't want this getting out first and us getting ahead of this. You can't convince me otherwise.
Right. They don't want you to get any
Um,
momentum going.
because it has really started a big debate here, and people's eyes have been open to um, what's really going on. Is the science really accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Problem is we can't get the staff, the good people at CDFW, they can't talk about it.
Oh, well, that sounds a lot like Colorado when they first started to say, you know what, we're going to put wolf reintroduction on the ballot. Okay, what is the first thing Cable did? I call Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Hey, can I please talk to somebody that's in charge over there?
Yep.
Okay, this is the person in charge. Work your way up the food chain, get to that person. Ma'am, can you please give me your take on wolf reintroduction? She goes, well, I can't really comment publicly. And I said, okay, so is
Yep.
there a gag order? She goes, no, there's not a gag order. I just can't comment. I said, okay, so there's a gag order from Governor
Definitely.
Polis. And she goes, you
Yep.
can interpret it how you want, but basically interpret it how you want. Okay, so you've been told, because they tried, like historically, this wasn't the first time they tried wolf reintroduction through ballot box biology. They did it. It was like 10 years ago, and Colorado Parks and Wildlife came out and said we don't support this. Well, this go around, and when did they have that? 2022 might have been when they had the
The
2020 might have been
vote,
when they had the vote.
the vote was 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then 2022 they dumped the first set of wolves, maybe,
Yeah, I believe so. It's something like that.
or early
2022,
23. But
2023. Might have been 2023.
yeah, but they said, this time around we can't comment. I said, well, can you put me on the phone with somebody at Colorado Parks and Wildlife that can? And she goes, there's that person doesn't exist. Like,
Yep.
okay, so that's straight from the governor.
Yep.
Nobody else has the authority to tell trained wildlife biologists that they can't comment on wildlife biology in their state.
It's a real problem. So today, what I've been doing up until this podcast today is I've been on the phone with several smart people from different states. I'm writing a bill for them to take that basically gives state agencies, wildlife biologists, um, the protection to talk about the science, the data, the research that they are doing objectively.
hmm,
Now, they can't come out and be like, vote this way, vote that way, whatever. But I'll just give you a few instances. On Catalina Island, the scientist there on the island says spotlight surveys are incredibly robust and super accurate. I cannot find a biologist that works for California or works for Arizona, and all these guys are like, listen, I'll tell you this, but I can't say it publicly. And this is even across state lines because they collaborate.
mm-hmm,
Can't be in your documentary, but spot surveys are not accurate whatsoever. That comment is just not true. It's 100% not true. And so on, and you can take every other comment from there that, the biologists that I'm talking about or talking with from state agencies, they disagree with that science, but they're not allowed to talk about it. The only person who can talk about it is the director, in this case, who's appointed by Gavin Newsom. This whole thing's become political.
mm,
So I'm actually helping to write some language to figure out. It's kind of a complex situation, but we need to be able to let our state agencies, biologists, talk about these issues.
mm-hmm. So let's
Mountain
back
lion
up
relocation. Yeah,
just a little to give our listeners some context here. So Catalina Island, I think there's like close to 4,000 residents. It's 75 square miles. Um, historic.
48,000 acres is a maybe an easier way for people. 48,000 acres.
Okay.
Yeah,
So historically, I read that it was used for otter hunting, sea otter hunting, and gold mining back in the day, and that deer aren't native at all. They were
that's true.
introduced, I think, according to the documentary, it said like
29.
1929. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they've
yeah,
been there 100 years.
yeah.
Mm. And how did they end up there? Who brought them there for what?
The Wrigley family, um, who's still definitely a part of the island, the Wrigley family brought them there, and they brought them there for hunting,
Huh.
for the purpose of hunting.
Okay.
Yep.
And so where did they get these genetics?
Different places in California. I think some came from the Central Valley and some came from northeastern California, I believe.
Huh.
CDFW brought them there. Um, yeah, but they were brought there for hunting.
Okay. So that's why they were brought there. And then they've coexisted throughout time with various other species. I think the sheep were wiped out before the deer got there, roughly.
Yeah,
But
sheep,
then there's been cows. There certainly was goats, a lot of goats.
tens of thousands.
That's what
Yeah,
she said. I have
yeah.
a time believing that.
Right.
Tens of
So does
thousands.
everyone else, but it's just what she said. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
wild
Uh,
pigs, thousands of wild pigs.
yeah. Audad.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I mean,
right.
maybe there were times in the island's history with all of this pressure from ungulates that the vegetation did suffer. I
Yeah.
don't, just watching the film, it looks pretty healthy to me. You were there in person.
It does. They
All
bring
those
up
other
their
species are gone now, by the way.
oh, they're all gone. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
deer and bison.
Yeah.
There's 90 bison
Why are they there?
because it's a major tourist attraction. I mean, they
Okay.
sell hats and t-shirts. They don't have hats and t-shirts with deer on it. They got hats and t-shirts, and they got a big stuffed bison at Long Beach where you come in. I mean, it's a tourist draw. They
Is
got,
she is who is
safari
this
style
lady? Who's
trucks
the
and all
lady
that.
that's in the film? What's her name?
Dr. Lauren Denhart.
And she's the head of the Catalina Island Conservancy.
Yeah, she's the lead scientist. She's the PhD there.
And who is the backbone behind the conservancy? Is that
Well,
like
you have a board. Okay, so the Wrigleys created the Conservancy in 1972. They actually
okay?
created the Conservancy. They own the entire island. They created the Conservancy, and now the Conservancy owns and runs 88% of the island. The rest of the island is owned by the island company and then the city of Avalon. And the island company is, the CEO of the island company, and it's all the Wrigley family. And a majority, I think it's a majority, definitely a lot of the folks who are also on the Conservancy's board are part of the Wrigley family. So it's very
Huh?
incestuous, very
Yeah.
incestuous.
Huh. Okay. But so the whole premise of the film is somewhere around 2023, you got wind
Yeah.
that the conservancy was planning to use aerial helicopter gunning to wipe out the entire mule deer herd, every last one
Yep.
of them, and just
Yep.
leave them lay.
Yep. It was actually Mark Healy, the big wave surfer. Like
Uh-huh.
he's the he
Yeah, I
he
know
told
him.
me about it. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So he actually messaged me and told me about it, and I was like, no way. Like in California, in Southern California, something named a conservancy is just gonna, eradicate I didn't believe it.
Hmm.
Absolutely did not believe it.
Has he
And
hunted
then
there or something? How did he catch wind of it?
he's just got, I think, people who fish and live there and hunt are friends with him on
Okay.
Catalina Island. Yeah. But
Okay.
he's the one who actually told me about it, which is
Huh.
funny.
Huh. Okay. So that's in 2023. And
Yep.
then when do you first go to the island? Or had you hunted there?
No, I didn't even know I could hunt there. Well, I knew I could hunt there through an outfitter. I guess I had heard about that a little bit, but I had no idea they had DIY hunts or really much of any of that going on at all. Um, I first went there in June of 2024 with the drone team. I had two pilots and a guy with a camera just running cameras, and we basically heard so much conflict on the population number. The
Hmm.
Conservancy is saying there's 2,000 deer. The guide and people on the island, there's no way there's 2,000 deer here. We think there's less than 1,000. And I'm like, well, how are they getting these numbers? So I look up the PLM reports and I'm like, all right, so every 3 years they drive around a couple pickup trucks with spotlights. They drive 5 routes. They'll find, like, say, 250 deer on the 5 routes. They take that number and extrapolate it to the size of the island. So assuming the density is the same across the size of the island, right?
Hmm.
Um,
All habitat is not created equal. I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty basic idea right there.
So we brought the thermal drones there just to kind of do a test, and we covered 9% of the island. And yeah, in some spots we found a pretty good number of deer, but in other spots we didn't find any. And then some we found a little bit. So it's like, the densities are very different.
Hmm.
There's a lot of deer around the golf course, of course, right? But there's not going to be a lot of deer, in the middle of the island
I think the
as
drone
density.
pilot at one point said he just flew 250 acres,
Yeah.
didn't find a single deer.
Yeah.
And you could, with modern drone technology, I mean, you can not only see the deer, you could zoom in and see if it's a buck or a doe.
That's the cool part. So we did it in June. So the bucks are in velvet, so they got blood running through their antlers, so it
Hmm.
picks up on the heat signatures. And then we can switch to RGB and actually you see the actual picture of the deer and throw a waypoint on it because most of the time they don't run. They will a little bit, but the waypoints help with so we're not getting duplicates,
Yeah,
So if we fly back over and like, oh, there's a heat signature. Oh, we got a waypoint that's 10 yards away. That must have been the same deer.
right.
So it's super cool. And the real test there that the drone pilots wanted to know is there too much cover there? How much can we do in the daytime? Because if we got the marine layer, is it going to work in the marine layer? Obviously, if we have a clear night, that's the best environment. So we that's what we did. So we were there for 3 days, talking to locals. We did some of the interviews with locals to get their side of it, which is in the documentary. And then our plan was to come back and cover the entire island and do it covertly. I don't talk about this at all in the documentary. It's just too much stuff.
Hmm.
So I had 10 pilots, all scheduled, flights booked, all that stuff to come out in the end or the beginning of October, I think it was. Might have been September of the same year. I don't know what happened, Cable, but somebody got word to somebody and they were like, hey, they know you guys are doing this and they've set up all these new signs and they have security and they're waiting for you. And I'm going, come on. No, they're not. Like, no way.
Mm.
But I couldn't confirm it. And I'm like, I can't afford to bring in 10 guys and have us, you know what I mean? So that didn't happen. We were going to cover the whole island and just literally deliver it to CDFW's desk, whatever the number was. I said, I don't care what the
Yeah.
number is. Maybe it's more. I don't know. But let's
Yeah.
find out. Um, So me and the camera guy, we went back there just to, I was like, okay, if they have security waiting and all that, we got to document that. What are they going to do? Kick us off the island?
Yeah.
And it's open to the public, right? So we went there and there was none of that. No signs, no security, nothing at all. And I'm like, this is stupid. So I was pretty frustrated. I was talking to one of the locals. He's like, man, can I help out in any way? I said, I'm kind of I'm hearing too many rumors. I'm hearing too many things. It'd be awesome if I could talk to the Conservancy, but they probably don't want to talk to me. And he goes, well, I'm actually friends with Dr. Denhart. We disagree on this, but I'm actually good friends with her.
Mm.
I'll give her a call. So he calls her and she goes, sure, yeah, have him come out. We'll do it. We'll do a whole interview with him. And then,
Mm.
so then I came back again later in October, and that's where we did about 7 hours of interviewing with the Conservancy.
Hmm.
And when I was asking her a lot of these questions at the time, I actually didn't know the answers until I came back later and reviewed everything, showed it to some of the professionals that had been involved, and then eventually showed it to the guide and the outfitter who had been there. He hadn't been able to talk about this because he was under contract with the Conservancy. When the
Mm.
Conservancy ended that program, he came to me and he goes, dude, I'm ready to talk. This is insane. Like, I've got all the
So
data
he's
on
the
this.
main outfitter on the island.
He's the main outfitter on the island.
So
Yeah.
if anyone knows how many deer are really out there, it's
Yep.
going to be someone who's looking at them through a spotting scope
Yep.
essentially all the time.
He's been
And
there since 1998.
okay.
Yeah. And he left in 2020. Well, he found out in 2025, actually, June of 2025, that they weren't going to continue. So he'd been there that long. He had been on the spotlight surveys. So he'd taken part in every part of this,
Hmm.
right? He's got a lot of info and he's like, man, I think there's less than 1,000 deer here, honestly. That's what I honestly think.
Yeah.
So, when questions came up, I didn't know at the time when I was talking to Dr. Denhart about reducing the deer population. I started asking about her management plan. I'm like, well, you guys are doe focused, right? Obviously, you have that. And she says they are. She goes, oh, yeah, we've had that for 10 years. When she told me that, I didn't know any better. I was like, oh, no kidding. That's good on you. Good that you have that.
Hmm.
And then Ben goes, dude, it's not. Here's the thing. We do 70% of the hunts that run through my operation. They only have a doe focus program for the locals, and there's maybe 30, maybe 40 hunters, locals that are on the island. That's all it's for. And I'm like, okay,
Mm.
that was a complete lie. I mean,
Yeah.
40 hunters compared to Ben's running 200 and some odd hunters, whatever, through there. That's not a program to reduce your deer population, but they would say, oh yeah, we have this program, we've tried it. Come to find out they haven't. And that's when I was like, all right, I gotta do something about this because it's just the public's being lied to.
Yeah. So in your conversations with Dr. What's her name? Denmark?
Denhart.
Denhart.
Yeah.
What was her reasoning for saying we have to wipe the herd out? Because her predecessors didn't say that. Actually, you found some film
Yeah.
of who the guy that was the director before her, and he
Yeah.
said the carrying capacity was 500 to 600 deer.
He was the CEO of the Conservancy, and he says that they worked with the scientific community to come to that conclusion. Um, they still didn't implement a deer management plan that would reduce the herd. They just had hunting there. And
Mhm.
to them, they think just having hunting would somehow reduce the herd. But in their PLM program, this is private land, so it's a private land management. In their PLM program, it specifically states this program is here to sustain a healthy population of deer. So,
Right.
you know, what who's re, it's just it's mind-numbing. Um, because they just want to get rid of hunting, that's what it is, but they won't admit that. And, and if when we have to do it soon because the island's ecosystem is going to collapse in 100 years, which was wild to me. I'm like, hold on, you got rid of
The deer have been
30,000
there 100
livestock?
years and it hasn't collapsed yet.
Exactly. It doesn't, she couldn't explain that to me
I
to
get
where
this is the
it
only
made
way I would
sense.
ever give anything any credence about what she said, and that's the fact that they're not native. But
That's totally true.
what at what point, if they've been there for a century and now they've been adopted by the locals and they're just kind of part of the island now,
Yeah.
just as probably you've got bison on the island. Are they killing those?
No.
Okay, that so 90 bison probably is the equivalent of like 5,000 deer. I'm just throwing something out there, something wild. I have no idea, but 90 bison? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
They've reduced the bison herd. It used to be like they might have had 250 or something at one point. They've reduced it. I mean, they never gave me a clear answer, as you saw in the documentary on the whole bison thing. I had to figure some of that out myself from talking to some insiders. But I don't think they're ever actually going to wipe them all out because it's a tourist draw. I don't know what their number is going to be, but obviously that was uncomfortable for them. That's an invasive species as well.
Right,
But the thing is, so yes, they are invasive,
but they've been there 100
100%.
years.
Yes, but um, they are managed by California Department of Fish and Wildlife as a California mule deer. California CDFW has not listed or classified these as invasive, right?
Mm.
So you have to get the same tags as you would for a regular. There's no difference.
Oh, okay. So
So that's
despite their private land status, what is it you call it?
private
PL?
land management.
We have
They don't have
MLD in
they
Texas. We
don't
call it
have
MLD.
PLMs. They don't have PLMs
PLM.
for invasive species. They only
Okay.
have it. Yeah. So that's a really important piece of this to understand. If these were classified as invasives on Catalina Island, there'd definitely be some different routes for sure for this. You wouldn't actually need a hunting season. Maybe you would need a hunting license, probably wouldn't need a hunting tag because it'd be an invasive.
Right.
That's not the case. No, this is a game species. So that being the case, it's owned by the people, right?
Mm.
So there's some complexities there. And CDFW is they're giving them the authority on this. And I'm trying to question them like, hey, who bought you? Who paid for this? Because you're not backing this up with science. This isn't the right process.
Here's a question that comes to me, just the outside observer.
Yeah.
Why has uh, CPW? Why have they given this agency authority all this time? Like who and why are the citizens like deferring to this the conservancy?
Yeah.
Fire them. Get rid of them.
It's
Who
a
are
nonprofit.
they
Catalina Island Conservancy is a separate nonprofit,
that
right?
runs the wildlife for the entire island?
That
Why
yes, they
doesn't
manage
Colorado or excuse me, California? What is it? Fish.
CDFW, California Department of Fish and
Why
Wildlife,
are they not running it? It's in California.
because it's private land. So they're not running like the management program. They will work with private landowners to
Okay.
um, they'll come out and say, what do you want to do here? They'll survey it. Yep, you got enough deer here. We can give you this many tags. And what's your management plan? So that's up to the private landowner to submit that to CDFW, and then
Mm.
CDFW approves that. And that's because it's a game species. So they still own the deer, or they manage the deer
Right.
species, right? Um, so they can't really fire them necessarily because they do own much of the land, but they
Okay.
do have authority on what they do with the deer.
Uh-huh. Okay. That makes sense. Man, I just I don't understand. You say you love wildlife so much, and this is the mindset of the anti-hunter, but yet you would rather just have them wiped out so that people can't continue to hunt. Like what?
In in this instance, what's really crazy is we have worked with this is not just hunters. I mean, the Catalina Island Humane Society and all sorts of
Oh,
groups.
that was so telling too. When the you're interviewing the older gentleman, and he's like, "Dude, I got every pro
Yeah,
hunting
yeah,
NGO and organization involved. And then I got the Humane Society on our side too. We never
yeah,
work with them, but we are
yeah,
partners with Humane Society because
yeah,
they don't want to see the deer all killed off. It's like,
yeah.
wow. I mean, that's pretty
It's
telling right there.
really
If those two groups' mindsets can come together for a common, common
it's
good.
so cool. It's so cool because they're asking for hunting as a management tool. All of the people, all the groups, like that's what they're asking for. I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before.
Right.
I'm talking about outside of hunters,
Mm-hmm.
So it's really something what we've been able to show and accomplish there and have people all fighting for hunting as a management tool. It's it might be the first time I've seen that. Personally, for sure,
Yeah.
it's the first time I've seen it. It all comes down to this. I just want there might be too many deer there. There might, you know what I mean? Maybe they are having these impacts. But let's get the real number. And that's
Well,
what I'm
you
offering
can't
them.
do that with the spotlight survey. You got to do it with
Hell,
the drones,
hell,
which didn't you
yeah.
offer? And then they were just kind of
Yeah.
like, no, we're not interested in that. We really don't want the real
Yeah.
numbers because it might not support our narrative, our agenda here.
Yeah. So now we're taking that as a public offer, and we are officially, with our hunting groups and coalitions here, we're officially going to propose that to CDFW and the Conservancy to force their hand. They got to answer. Will you accept this offer or not? And it goes our way, however they answer. If they say no, it's like, okay, well, I'm done with you guys saying you're science-based and data-based.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We're offering to pay for it.
Yeah.
If they say yes, fantastic, great, let's do this. But if they say no, all right, good to hear. At least you said it out loud. We got to get them to answer the questions, and they've been
Mm.
avoiding doing that. They've been avoiding answering questions, and the normal guys at CDFW, they're like, man, this is above our heads. Like seriously, this is above our heads. We're not getting emails on this. We're not getting memorandums. This is the director.
Really?
It's political. Yep.
Oh. And what about in your conversations with just local hunters?
Well, they're upset. You mean like on the island, that hunt on
Yeah,
the
just
island,
on the
or
island.
yeah. I mean, this is something that I talked to one guy he was born. He goes, I've been here for 85 years. And I go, oh, you were born here then? He goes, yeah. Just tell me all these stories. I mean, the locals they grew up on the island. They grew up hunting on the island. They went out and killed goats and pigs and everything else that was there. And it like sustained a lot of those people's livelihoods. Um, and now it's just deer, they go out and hunt deer. And there's only a small handful of people that hunt on the island anymore, but it's a small, population anyways that live there. It's super important to them. I mean, they're people are crying about it. Seriously. I mean, this is their home. It's where they were born. It's a part of their life, and they don't want to see any more of this happen. And the leadership with the Conservancy, see, none of them are locals. None of them are ever, they have no connection to the island whatsoever. They just, graduate
Mm-hmm.
out of this school or whatever, and they come in. The turnover is like every 5 years. Here's a new person. Here's a new person. Here's a new person. And there's just always this friction, always this friction. And really what it is, I think, for Dr. Denhart is she wants to put it on her resume. Here's what I did. I restored Catalina Island, and I'm the one who did that, and I can put my stamp on it. Um,
Yeah.
my
But
question is restoring it to what? Because this island is very unique as opposed to the other Channel Islands. This is the island where you have an airport and golf courses and roads and restaurants and bars. Like, what is restoration anymore when we have all this going on? And she has her
yeah.
arguments for it. Um, at the end of the day, I just don't think there needs to be zero deer. I think there's a number of deer that can be on the island. And beyond that, I think you can reduce that population if we are to buy their numbers through hunting, but they have to try it. And that's way better because then humans are being fed the meat instead of it being wasted and being,
Mhm.
probably the biggest wanton waste event that's ever taken place in California.
Well, and I'm just thinking about the fact that they were going to leave them lay. So a lot of these deer, obviously, as mule deer and whitetail will do, and elk, they'll congregate around golf courses, right?
Yeah.
You're just going to shoot all these deer. I imagine there's not coyotes on the island. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
You're
they,
going
they
to
only
shoot
have
all these
the
deer.
island fox.
Fox ain't going to be able to consume that amount of just
No.
carrion. So you're going to shoot all these deer and just have these rotting carcasses just strewn around the island, and there's no natural scavenger predator that's going to consume them.
Well,
That's going to be a great
this
look for you.
well, for one, the permit is only for that 88% of the island. It actually isn't for the island company and it's not for the town of Avalon. And the town of Avalon has an ordinance that you cannot kill. They did this on purpose to protect the deer. You can't kill any deer in the town of Avalon. So how they think they're actually ever going to get to zero, the only way they'd be able to do it is by baiting them and luring them all out and somehow getting every single one. So there's still some complexities there. But when they did this on the other Channel Islands, right? There was like the kaibab mule deer there and elk and everything on Santa Rosa Island. They killed everything there. They killed all the pigs. The golden eagles flew in and they started killing all the island fox. So, which obviously they didn't like that. That wasn't good. So their plan now, they've changed it a little bit. They said the deer that are killed next to roadways, we are going to take those and we're going to feed the California condor. So they're going to bring them back to the mainland and feed the California condor, which is all just BS, honestly. It's a PR move.
Yeah, I
Most of
mean,
those deer are going to be out there rotting.
when invasives are introduced for whatever reason, and then time goes by, and then someone says, "Oh, we screwed up here." Usually, the next decision is also a bad one. And I'll give you an example.
It's true.
So I was in Hawaii hunting axis deer. Invasive, shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
They're pretty destructive on. You wouldn't think that Maui would be in a drought, but they were, and they're blaming pigs and axis deer for really hurting the water supply.
Yep.
Okay, so they pay people to go shoot them at night, and they just leave them there, just leave them lay in the fields, shoot them with thermals. They're called eradicators, paid eradicators. But so they introduced the mongoose, Charles, to kill the rats that were. I think the rats were
Mhm.
accidentally. I mean, nobody was like, let's put rats on the island, and that was probably just
Yeah.
on
They
an
come over
accident.
on boats and all
But the
that.
problem
Yeah.
is, rats are nocturnal, and the mongoose hunts during the day.
Mm.
So now they have mongoose just running around eating all of the birds. You know, I mean, like they don't eat
Yeah.
the rats because they don't ever see the rats.
Yeah, a lot of that's come up, kind of the negative effects of because islands adapt and things, and the deer have adapted. I mean, I asked her that, could we take these deer to the mainland? She goes, no, they wouldn't survive. I'm like,
Well, then
so
it
it's
sounds like they've been there long enough.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's complex. They're not being honest about it, and that's what I hate about it. And
How many deer do you think are on the island?
I
They're
really
saying
don't know.
2,000.
Like,
What do you think?
yeah, they're saying 2000. So up until I saw we had the grid of 1800 dots over the island. I never looked at it that way. And when I saw that, I went, yeah, I don't think there's that many deer. There's no way.
Mm.
That's insane. And like Ben says, I know there's definitely not that many deer on the west side. So now you have to remove deer from there and place them on the other, which makes the densities even higher. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, there's no way that their numbers are correct. I don't know, maybe like 1100 deer, something like that.
Hmm.
If I was just gonna guess, like if I was gonna win some money, who's gonna come the closest? I'd say 1100, which is a
Okay.
big difference. Right now they're saying 2100 deer.
Huh.
So 2024. we had those 1,000 tags allocated, and 759 of those tags were used. They killed almost 400 deer. So in 2024, they said they had 1,800 deer. So that's 22% of the population that's taken out. 2025, they say there's 2167.
Uh,
Like, man, how'd we get to that number? So now Dr. Denhart, she's calling it this because this is what it said in the newsletter. I don't think she meant to call it this. She's saying compensatory mortality is taking place. So because of the hunting pressure, the does are having more fawns. And I'm just like, hold up. Like, where
mm.
when does this happen? Where does this happen? Where does this come from?
Dude,
And again, CDFW, you're gonna stand for this? Like, can we get some of the comment, please?
yeah.
So I
I don't buy into that. That I have never heard a actual biologist say that. I think that that ideology was put out there by Dan Flores
well, it's very similar
by
to that. Yeah.
and Meat Eater made him famous, and I had Dan on my show.
Yeah.
To what was his American Coyote or something? He
Uh,
wrote a book,
Coyote America.
Coyote
Coyote
America.
America. Yeah.
I read the book, but he's a historian. Dan is not a biologist.
Yeah.
And so when he's saying like, if you put more pressure on coyotes, they just have more pups. I'm like, but are you a biologist? No, you're not. And but that idea, I've seen it in the last 15 years. Like people will they don't even know where they got the idea, but it's from Dan.
I
And they're
had the
like, this
conversation.
is
Yeah.
this is truth. And then I'm like, oh really? Because a historian said so on a Meat Eater podcast, and now we have to accept that as the Bible? I
Yeah.
was like, I don't think so, man.
I had that exact same conversation just before we started this, and back to the bill that I'm trying to write about hearing from the experts. I brought up coyotes. I said, here's another example. Most of the narrative around coyotes comes from one guy in one book that he wrote. How crazy is
Right.
that? Whether it's true or not, like, you know what I mean? I honestly don't know too much about it. I mean, I've heard about it, of course,
Yeah.
but I haven't focused on it. But most of the decisions and the narrative that goes around is from one guy, and he wrote
Yeah.
a book. That's all I hear from.
Well, it's
Right?
hogwash.
You
The
know,
bottom line is
but
coyotes are just the most adaptable species in North America. We just should say this is what it is.
yeah,
Not like we're we're putting more pressure on them and so no, they've just figured out they can scratch out a living and coexist with humans better than any other species.
yeah.
So,
Do you
yeah,
see
I
that
don't.
one that swam the Alcatraz?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But that
So
was because of hunting pressure, I guess.
they just they just captured that coyote because they were like the coyote's ruining the ecosystem over there,
Oh, yeah.
eating all the birds and all the eggs and everything.
How noble
So
of
they
them. Yeah.
they decided that they're taking them off now. I just read that
Uh-huh.
today, which is
That's funny.
funny.
Um So she got pretty squirrely when you asked her like about if we could just say hunting could knock down the population to X, and you
Yeah.
threw out like 300 deer.
Yeah, 300, 500, whatever the number
Would
is.
you
Yeah.
be okay with that? And she was like, she kind of skirted it, and then reverted back to, well, hunting hasn't worked previously, so why would it work now? Well,
Yeah.
how many does have you shot, lady?
That's the whole thing. If you look at their management plan has been to hold the population steady. So the question was never asked, what are we managing to? Do we want to have
Right.
a higher population of deer, a lower population, or keep it steady? If they created a management plan that would have reduced it, it would have meant a higher doe take, 65% does, whatever it is. And that would have been the focus, and you could have got down to that number. And but they keep telling us, oh, we've tried it, we've tried it, we tried to reduce it. Most people don't understand the levels of, the general public at least doesn't understand the levels of different management plans, so they kind of get away with it. There's no way they can get away with that with CDFW. They know better.
Mhm.
So why did CDFW let this happen without proposing these better solutions? That's my question. And it just makes me question every decision um, that comes out of, I mean, we're working on the bear management plan with CDFW, and the biologist told me, he goes, listen, this thing's been done, but the director has it and he's redlining it because we have to be, essentially to summarize it, like we have to be risk adverse.
Hmm.
We can't have we can't show all the data and everything we came up with in this bear management plan that we're going to put out there for the public, but we got to make it palatable for the very powerful, influential anti-hunting organizations. And I'm like, dude, this is science and data, and we gotta
Mm.
we gotta kind of sculpt that to make it palatable for the anti-hunting organizations. Shit. I mean,
Mm.
who is that good for?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
you
Well,
know,
and one other thing that she kept, uh, or maybe it was that you, when the camera was just on you and you're talking after you visited with her, and you're saying like, if the population's 1,800 animals, but the vegetation in the island isn't destroyed right now,
yeah,
like then you would think that it's not a problem because I mean we used to have way more when we had these goats and pigs and she even said there was whitetail on there at one time in history, but they didn't last very long. But
yeah.
clearly, 18 if her number was 1,800 and the population's kind of been holding steady for a while, like is the island decimated? Uh, Like
No, this what doesn't make sense to me. It's gotten better. She says it's gotten better, but then somehow the same amount of deer that exists today are the same amount of deer she says also existed in 1948, right? And
right,
that's all we have now is deer and bison, and
and all
the
the other things are
ecosystem's going to
gone.
collapse.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, maybe I need to go back to school because I don't know how this math works.
right.
I just don't get it.
So fast
I don't
forward
get it.
to today.
Yeah.
Where do we sit with CPFW?
So we're offering them a solution,
And do
and
you and let me just throw one other question there. Do you know when they're planning on starting to shoot these things?
the
They're
shooting
getting
part,
blowback from you, Charles. They're. I mean, they don't want this to get momentum. This lady wants these deer shot very clearly.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know when they're going to start that. Currently it's now a 5-year program to eradicate the deer, which now we're going through
You get
breeding
some Texans
cycles.
and helicopters, they'll be gone in an hour.
Well, the helicopter thing that's what they first wanted. That got crushed. Because man, it went bad when they did that with the goats and pigs with helicopters. I think the stats are like 5 to 6 shots per animal on a helicopters
Oh wow.
generally and they had goats running around screaming their heads off coming down into the town of Avalon, and people are freaking out like, what the fuck is going on
Hmm.
here? So to do that with the deer would have just been nuts. Um, I don't know when the deer program is necessarily supposed to start, but we're making them an offer. And then there's also lawsuits coming, and we're working with California Rifle and Pistol Association and SCI, um, and a few others on those lawsuits. So that's where we're at right now.
Mm. Okay. Well, and there's we'll talk about SCI, I'm sure, when we transition into wolves here, but I want to encourage folks to go watch the film. And you said it was just kind of thrown together. I thought it was pretty good, especially for your first hack at it.
For what we had, it was pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
You should
know.
be proud of it, man. I mean,
Oh,
and
I
the
am
amount of
totally.
people that have been educated now on the
Yeah,
lack of actual science that's going into this decision. Like, and my biggest problem is like, this lady clearly has a hard on for shooting all these deer, doesn't want them on the island for
yeah,
whatever reason. Whether it's like you said, she wants it on her resume, she just wants to end hunting, whatever. Okay, and just show me the science, man. Like there
yeah,
isn't any. You don't want it. You don't. That's the other thing. Like, and she couldn't even hide that fact. Like she didn't want science because science is probably going to prove she's wrong and that her number is way off.
yeah.
So, but folks
No,
can
I'm proud of
find
it.
it.
I'm
The
very proud of it. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just crazy that I never thought I'd be doing this, that's for sure. And I was just like, God, I think we got enough footage here to make something. And I just had it all on a disc, on a hard drive, and that's all I've been doing the last 3 months is
So you did
going
all the
through all that.
editing.
I worked with my friend Mason and Seth because they had the Mac computers with Adobe Premiere,
Uh,
but Yeah, I essentially did it was my vision. It was my editing. I was there for every step of the way of the editing,
Uh,
which is a huge pain in the ass, by the way. Holy
yeah.
cow. I had like 14 hours of footage, so trying to break it down into, I knew it couldn't be any more than 90 minutes, and I got it a little bit shorter than that, but there was just too many things to cover. I could have part two, part three, part four of this. Like
Mhm.
seriously, there's so many different conversations we had and stuff with Ben and with Bill, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid to do that. So,
Well, Killing Catalina, you can find that on the HOWL YouTube page.
yep.
And just go. And if you're not following HOWL for Wildlife, you need to follow all their social stuff too, because it's you guys, it's SCI, it's Sportsman's Alliance, it's Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. These are the groups that I respect. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation has come out and transitioning now to our next topic of wolf delisting. They've
Yep.
actually come out and, as they should, right? Their their whole goal
They,
is to
yeah.
protect elk herds, so you'd think they'd be front and center about wolf delisting. But hey, you would have thought the same thing from some other organizations, dude. And we can talk about them in a minute. But HR 845 is the proposal passed Congress. I can't remember if it was completely on party lines or if any Democrats voted for it. I think there might have been a
Yeah,
couple.
Some Democrats voted for it, and
Uh-huh.
some Republicans voted against it.
I'd like to know who those people are. Have
One
them
is out of Florida.
tarred and feathered.
States that don't have wolves and never will have wolves. We'll start
Yeah.
with that. But yeah, there was a few Republicans that voted against it.
Mm. Um, so as it sits right now, it's going to head to the Senate, and it could be. I think it's like 2 weeks. They might vote on it. But then some
Yeah.
dude from Wisconsin said he's been emailing his senator, and the senator's telling him he doesn't even think it's gonna. They're not even gonna vote on it. That would be a travesty.
Yep. And maybe I don't know, Cable. I really don't get involved in politics. I just look at issues and put my effort into that. Maybe that's the case. Why that's the case, I have some reasons that I think we should all try harder. And I'm kind of I'll tell you, I'm disappointed honestly with everybody at this point. Yes, it passed the House.
You better not be disappointed in me because I've been bitching
No,
about it
no,
nonstop.
I know you have. No, I'm
Which I think
disappointed.
is how we got like when we first
Yeah,
said, you know what, we should do another podcast. It's like you had sent me a text was like, is anyone else besides us going to talk about this?
I, everybody likes to talk about wolves, right? I mean, it's the main
Until it's
bread
time
and
to
butter
actually
of
talk about the thing that could change history.
that's what I don't understand. So when this was in the House, a few days before it passed the House, I started hearing about it from all the orgs, all the legacy orgs and everybody, and like, hey, this is going to pass, and we're working on this, and then it passed, and there was like this celebration. It confused a lot of people. I was confused at why almost all the organizations would act like this was a celebration because it confuses people who don't know any better. They're like, yay, this passed. We got this now. Like, no, it just passed the House. It's got to go to the Senate now. Now's where the real battle is. The Senate's going to be where the battle is. We knew it was going to pass the House. And you might know better than me. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any type of action while it's in the Senate from anybody.
No,
Like,
none.
and my mind is blown. I'm going around in circles going, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
What are I, this is a great opportunity. It has the language in it. No judicial review. This is why we can hunt wolves in Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. This has the language in it. It gives the authority back to the states. Not that every state is going to have wolf hunting. Like, I'd be crazy to think this is going to happen in, Washington, Oregon, California. It still is up to the states.
Yeah,
But for those states that are like, man, we really want to manage our wolves, the Midwestern, states, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever, they can make that decision.
yeah,
I'm
100%.
not
And
hearing
and
anything from anybody.
and just so the listener knows, the HR 845 is actually known as the Pet and Livestock Protection Act. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for it and you can't find it, Pet and Livestock Protection Act. It's not actually called wolf delisting. but that's basically what it does.
Yeah.
And this is something that we've been fighting for 3 decades. And it isn't Charles and Cable saying, we need to kill all the wolves, because that's not what either one of us fundamentally believes or wants.
And it's
It's
impossible.
right.
I mean, look at Idaho. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
can't do
mean,
it. You can't do it.
I interviewed. Well, it wasn't even an interview. It was off the record. It was at SCI show about a decade ago, and they had Idaho Fish and Game had a information. They had a booth there. And basically, it was just like, come hunt Idaho. Just informative. Look at all the stuff we have. And I started talking to them about wolves, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, we shoot those bastards out of a helicopter, and we just leave them there, but we can't publicly, we can't let anyone know about it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
all done, behind closed doors." But they're decimating our elk herd. But then you see, dude, and if you look at social media, there's so many people that actually believe wolves have restored the Yellowstone ecosystem based off of a stupid documentary. Kind of like Dan Flores has the elixir for how to not increase coyote populations. Don't hunt them. No, it's crap. Not true.
And there's conflicting science on that and documents that have been coming out recently. I haven't spent a whole bunch of time looking at all that, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I
But
mean,
they
I get
take it
that.
as the Bible. Like, oh no, the
Yeah,
wolves, they knock the beaver numbers down. And I mean, okay, wolves might eat a beaver once in a while. They're killing elk. That's what they're doing.
yeah.
And moose and mule deer.
What I will say about, just because I'm not like crazy educated on that, but what I will say, when Yellowstone comes up, um, it comes up almost as if, well, it worked there, so it'll work here in Colorado or work here in California. Here's a
Mm,
big difference. Yellowstone is a giant zoo. It's a hybrid zoo.
right,
There aren't communities and what I mean. It's a protected place.
right.
When you put these wolves into Colorado, sure, yep, they used to be there. Keystone species, all the things. We've all heard that. And it's nothing but conflict. You know what changed? Like rewilding, rewilding is about rewinding. It's impossible to do it. We now have 6 million people just in Colorado.
Mm,
Ranches, roads, people, you name it, livestock. Putting those wolves there, it's going to be very, very different than the effect that wolves had 500 years ago or whatever. And people they really need to understand that. And animals can't talk, of course. They don't think these things through. I don't think those wolves want to be there. I don't think, these ideas of bringing grizzly bears I don't think they want to be in California. It's
right,
not going to be good for them. I think they kind of like isolation.
right.
I think there's reason why so many of those wolves have been shot in Wyoming. They're trying to get their ass back to Canada.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just you can't take Yellowstone and compare that to pick a state. Like,
But they
come on.
do it. I mean, that's like their fallback.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, wolf reintroduction was successful, and Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana had to fight hand over fist to get the management that was promised to them by the feds. When
Yeah.
they met, I think it was 100 wolves and 10 breeding pairs in each state, then they would turn over management to the state. Or at least say, we'll look at your management plan now, and we'll
Yep.
vet it out. Okay. Well, it took way longer than it should have. But you have Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. Northwoods whitetail herds have been wiped out. And I've told this story before. I was in Pike County, Illinois. I was whitetail hunting with a guy from Wisconsin. And I said, "So why did you come to Pike County? Obviously for the big whitetail." He's like, "Yeah, well, more than that, it's just because I can't see a deer. My deer camp, we don't even go anymore. We haven't seen a deer in 2 years because all the wolves killed them all."
Hmm.
He's like, and not only did it ruin our hunting tradition, the wolves are responsible for entire rural towns up there in the big woods of just going defunct because now there's no deer hunters
Yeah. Yeah.
and now
That's
there's
what I
no
hear.
town.
Yep. Nope. That's what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense what you're
Sounds like
saying.
such a huge leap, right? To say, well, how
Yeah.
could wolves be responsible for killing small towns? Well, you took all the deer out of the
Yeah.
equation, and you removed the deer hunter, and now you don't have any. There's no uh, economic value. These people aren't coming in pumping money into your local economy, and now it's just like ghost town.
I think the argument I heard on that from the other side recently is now that the wolves have killed so many deer, there's less car deer accidents. So
Oh
they're
yeah,
actually
yeah.
saving.
I saw
And I'm
that. I
like,
saw that article.
that's an
Yeah.
interesting take.
Uh huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beside all of that, the state should just be able to make their own decisions. That's
100%.
whatever, like, let
They've
them
been
manage their
handcuffed
own
for 30
wildlife
years
populations.
by
Yeah.
the feds, and we have this
Yeah.
opportunity. And dude, you know that I am no fan of backcountry hunters and anglers. I think they're
I
about as
do know that. I
green
do know that.
decoy as
Yeah.
exists. And
Yeah. I
now
do know that.
Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership, you can lump them in with them because if you are a conservation organization that says you're pro hunting and you are not out there commenting on this, and I know, uh, you know, some of the other organizations should be commenting on it more, but they're for it and they've at least put it out there.
Yeah.
There has been nothing but crickets from those two entities specifically, and I already had very little respect for them. You could say that it is bottomed out, flatlined. I do not have an ounce. They're about as useful as a wooden nickel because all
Yeah.
they want to do right now is bitch about the boundary waters. And I get it. Charles, I've spent more time in the boundary waters than 99% of those people bitching about it. I've spent 6 weeks in the boundary waters canoeing.
Yeah.
I love it. It's wonderful. You can even see a wolf there.
Yeah.
But guess what? We've been fighting for 30 years for this, and they don't have the backbone to say one word about it to their constituents, to their membership base, to say, hey, you guys get out there, write your senator, email your senator. Not nothing.
Yeah.
Completely quiet. I have no use for it.
That, and I know where you stand on that, for sure. You and I have talked about this, and I talked to people at BHA and Ryan and all that too. And I have a sure, I'm frustrated. Of course, I would love for them to. It would make sense to me. They should be talking about wolves. They should be talking about this bill. Um, they're probably not, if I'm being honest, because they're worried about losing support. And but I get the feeling that's the case for most people when it comes to this. Even brands like, man, we can't touch the wolf thing.
Has
It's
Meat Eater
just
touched
too.
it?
Meat Eater did. Oh, I'm pretty sure Steve wrote a pretty good article on this on why don't I'm just trying to remember, but it was recent,
Uh-huh.
month and a half ago. I think he wrote a pretty good article on why wolves should be managed. I'll have to find that. But
But I
but
wonder if they've
my
put out a call to action. And that's great. I'm glad Steve did that. But
my bone to pick really isn't, yeah, I'm frustrated with that, but I'm personally frustrated with the entire community. I'm frustrated with the legacy orgs. Um, for one, on this wolf issue, since it's been in the Senate, we haven't heard anything from them. Now I know that they support it, but I'm racking my brain going, why aren't we getting public support for this? I mean, why aren't we trying? We should be.
from the Senate itself.
To get people, yes, to get people to contact their senators and to support this bill to get this passed through the Senate. How come we're not hearing from, the legacy orgs,
Hmm.
the pro hunting orgs for people to do that? I'm not seeing any of that. I haven't got an email about it. Not seeing it on social media. There was the blip on the house, when this was going through the house, but that's all I saw. So I'm kind of frustrated with everybody, but it goes beyond that, Cable. In 2020, Howell wasn't around in 2020,
Hmm.
but when they had that reintroduction bill in Colorado, and some people might get pissed off at me for saying this, and I don't care, but it was completely unorganized. There was groups that should have been working together that did not, and it was fractured. Egos came into play. Everybody wants to put their stamp on it, like this is our campaign. Well, there's no cohesion there, and they ended up losing that vote by 33,000 votes.
Yeah.
That's it. When and the difference, so like, oh, what, sure, maybe I'm just complaining. The difference was clearly Prop 127, the mountain lion ban, going through Dan Gates, right? And Dan and I pulled freaking hair and clawed at people and drug them through bathrooms, trying to like rearrange the just the process in which all these groups can work together because they still wanted to all do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at legal capacity and all these things, there's only so many of these groups who can actually have an impact. CRWM was a C4 and they had an issues committee. They're the ones leading this charge. And to get everybody to tell their folks and to work together to send money to the people who are actually doing the same, that are actually going to do the work, that was the hardest thing in the world, man.
Yeah.
And there's good people in all these organizations. I have some problem with leadership. Sometimes I think maybe their boards are way too big. I mean, it takes you 3.5 months to make a decision. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of an issue. So it's not, and I'm not saying this to kind of bring anybody down. I always want things to be better. And so what happened? We did really well on Prop 127. We could have done better, but we won by 11% in Colorado. It's a blue state, right?
I was on record with Dan as saying, I don't think we're going to win, period. And he was like, I think we will. He's like, but he didn't think it was going to be by 11%. He says, I think it's going to be very close, but he's like, I have a good feeling. And I was like, okay, man. But just, I'm going off of recent history. And then, just like what you said, we didn't band together for the
Yeah,
wolf ballot box biology deal. We
right.
did for Prop 127.
Yeah. And most hunters don't hunt mountain lions.
Mm.
I mean, like this topic that was up in Prop 127 was, man, I don't know if we could, maybe grizzly bears would be worse, but you can't get much worse for us, to have a topic of mountain lion hunting up there. Most hunters don't even hunt them.
Yeah.
And it was the people of Colorado that voted, let's keep this decision with the wildlife professionals. So it was proven that this can happen when people collaborate and people come together. But man, it was not easy. And we wouldn't be having that conversation. We wouldn't be having all these wolf conversations in Colorado today had that happened in 2020. Now, whatever, that's the past. Let's learn from it. But I see it, it happens. I
It took
still
a
see it
year,
happening
and we're
over.
fractured again. Like
Yeah, we're
we
fractured again.
should we
Yeah.
should be all
Yeah.
tooting our
Yep.
horns, using every resource we have to put
Yep.
pressure on our senators to vote for HR 845. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like I said,
Simple
it's
as that.
3 decades in the making. We finally get, and that's another thing, and I'll point this out to you why it irks me even more about BHAs, because they never, ever throw any praise to anything conservatives do. It's always bitching about what the conservatives did or
Mm.
didn't do,
Yep.
and it's always negative. It's never, oh wow. If Democrats would have said let's delist wolves, they'd be all over it. I promise you that. And that's why I'm like, they're not a bipartisan organization, and that's what pisses me off.
No, that's true. I mean, that's a good point. And I've gotten lost in we were involved in the Mike Lee public land stuff, and then it's just every public land thing now is a big issue. And I've gotten lost in it. And I've been pushed away because it's become way too political to me. And I don't have the time to dig into every issue because what I'm seeing is, at least this is the perception, not specifically from the leadership of these groups. It's just like the comments, and I'm like, man, I don't
Oh,
know how
dude,
to
they all call me
process
a
this.
bootlicker because I vote for Trump. And I'm
Right.
like,
And
oh,
when everything
really?
comes down, to that, it really puts me off. And like American hunters and anglers,
That's,
is that,
well, you want to talk about, that's
is that
BHA on steroids. That's Lantani's
that's
former
land Tony's.
executive director of BHA. That's his new group. They would never touch predators. Lantani actually told my buddy at a BHA staff community building event, and I won't say his name, but he told him two things around the campfire after they've been drinking. Number one, Americans should not own AR-15s. Number two, after the morning team building events, everybody went bear hunting. That was the thing they were doing.
Yeah.
Lane was like, the guy asked Lane, he's like, are you not going to go bear hunting this afternoon? He's like, nah, I don't really want to kill a bear. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Well, tells you all you need to know there.
Well, my point, like when I see their social media posts, I'm like, God, this just it's just politics. And when I see the comments of, well, you get what you voted for. So, okay, let's break that down. I'm totally willing to do this. Get what you voted for. So what they're saying is you voted for Trump, so now we have all these public land issues. But what you're implying is who was right, Kamala. So if we voted for Kamala, you're saying the public land issues would have been okay. That's not true.
Hmm.
They actually there was a newsletter put out, I think it was like August of 2024 from the Harris campaign. I talked about developing houses on public lands,
Yeah.
right? The same thing. But here's my point on this, on the whole tribalism and you get what you're voted for. Since I started HOWL 2022, I think 99.9%, might be 100% of the anti-hunting bills, if we want to look at politics, they've come from Democrats.
Hmm.
Okay. So getting what you voted for is a weird thing to me. And
You saw what was came out of Oregon this week, right?
right. And we're gonna address that pretty soon. But the public land bills, yep, those are generally coming from Republicans, and getting rid of Pittman Robertson comes from Republicans. We fight them too.
Yep.
But the argument just doesn't hold any water. You get what you voted for.
Hmm.
It just that doesn't
Well,
make
and my
any sense to me.
response to them is, okay, great. So you took away my rights to hunt. So what do I need your public land for?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's
it's
just
cool. I
not
guess I could
that.
go hiking.
Yeah, it's just not that clean. It's just, and that's what turns me off when I see that kind of stuff.
But here's my critique on that: is like, why are they not joining me? So you and I, very adamant in opposition of Mike Lee publicly.
Yeah,
And I made no qualms about doing that because it was the right thing to do.
yeah.
But where are they on the wolf issue? Why can they not come to the table too and be like, you know what, brother? We were all in this together on public land, and this
Yep.
also should be a no-brainer bipartisan issue that we all support. But they don't. They don't.
I agree.
So that's
I
my
agree.
frustration. It's like I expect you to. That's why I want to hold you accountable. You owe it to me. If
Yep.
you are a hunting and conservation organization, you owe it to every one of us to use your resource to support this. And you don't. And it's like, and that's why I don't respect you.
I agree. And I've told you this before, I'll just say it. Because the state chapters, I sent you that post last night, but that was the state chapter. The
Yeah.
state chapters of BHA, I have absolutely loved working with, and oftentimes I will only see those state chapters of BHA at commission meetings fighting for bear hunting, for predator hunting, and I won't see any other groups. I mean, anybody.
Yeah.
So that stands out to me too. I think it's
And that's fair. And
yeah,
my critique is not from them. Like you sent
yeah,
me the post yesterday. Was it Washington State was doing a
predator hunting
for veterans?
class,
For
something like
veterans.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's a worthwhile cause. We could all support that and be like, hey, great job, Washington BHA.
yeah.
But go look at the national pages, social media accounts.
I wish they would. I think it'd be interesting. I mean, of course I would love it if they would, but also I want to say the same thing for everybody else. Let me bring people will probably figure out who this organization is. I'm not going to bring their name up. And it's not just them. On Catalina Island, this is an example. Um, we're dealing with mule deer. You'd think there'd be certain organizations that would have got involved,
Mm.
but because they get their money from state grants and from federal grants, they will not cause any conflict. And their position is they will side with whatever the state agencies decide.
Well, they just pulled out of East and North Texas, so I'm not really. And I just found out about that today. And I get it. We don't have mule deer in East Texas and Central Texas, but we do in West Texas and in the
Yeah,
Panhandle. So, but they told because I was friends with business acquaintances with the guy who was the Texas director for this organization, and it's Mule Deer Foundation. I said it, you didn't,
yeah.
but they
But there's
they
others.
they
There's
pulled
others that
out of
operate the
Texas
same
because
way.
there wasn't any profit in it. So wait,
Yeah.
Are you just in it to make money? Or are we here? I get it. I mean, you don't want to lose a bunch of money, but there's a bunch of mule deer hunters in those regions.
My problem is the process and the structure. Um, what we don't see is we don't see those limitations on the anti-hunting organizations, and they're allowed to go full bore.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got all these groups, and honestly, the majority of them are throttled, they're handcuffed by their own doing to actually fight. And what I'm talking about is advocacy, to actually fight for hunters and to fight when there's an actual issue. I mean, it was the same situation in Colorado with mountain lions. You would think these groups would be able to get involved, but they're not. They can't, and they're set up that way. That's what I think needs to change. I mean, we're just shooting our, it's like we're playing a football game with freaking one leg and we're
Mm-hmm.
expecting to win. I mean, why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah.
That's the conversation that needs to be had. And again, it's to make things better. It's not like I don't want to call everybody out and be like, you guys are idiots or whatever, but God, at some point, after what we've seen in the last couple decades, and especially in the last 5 years, maybe we should do some things differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because how are we ever going to win this?
I don't know. I mean, Prop 127 gave me hope,
Certainly.
but then here we are right now in February of 2026, and we have. I want to say it's just as important. You know, if we could get wolves delisted and turned back over to state management plans, like I don't think people understand how long we've been advocating for this as a hunting community, as a conservation community.
Yeah.
Feds butt out. The feds don't get to manage the elk in X state. So why are they allowed to have some say over the wolves? Right? I mean, like that's just putting predators on a pedestal that they don't. They're just another species to me. They all deserve to be managed. They all deserve a place at the table. The one's not any more important than another. And I would tell you, the ones that actually generate revenue for conservation probably are more important than the ones that only take. So they should be flip-flopped. They'd be like, yeah, wolves are cool. We don't want you wiped out, but you're actually not as important as elk, because an elk license is, for me to go to Montana now, it's like $1,100.
Oh man.
What's a wolf tag? $40?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's chump change.
Yeah.
And most people don't even buy a wolf tag. So
Nope.
one takes, one gives, and they have them on the pantheon. They've got them flip-flopped. So make it make sense, Charles.
Well, it's almost like we need a summit. I mean, if people were willing to get together, leadership from these organizations, and really, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Um, I really think we need a massive, massive shift in where we spend our money, where we put our energy, who we're talking to, and because it's just not, we can't continue going down the same road we're going. It's, we're gonna end up that's gonna peter out, and we're gonna lose it all. And it could be, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I don't know. I don't know what it looks like in 10 years if we continue doing the same thing
Well, I mean,
over and over and over again.
the court of public opinion is never on the side of the hunting community. We're,
Yeah,
bloodthirsty rednecks.
but it could be.
Right, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we've tried changing our messaging a little bit. I just don't know. Like, again, going back to 127, though, give me hope. Give me a little bit of hope. Like, maybe we're not, because on some days, dude, I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall and that I'm just kicking the can down the road because this is all going to be taken from us eventually. And I promise you, if Democrats win all the elections in 10 years, like you will see, like,
yeah,
this is on their agenda, and there's plenty of Democrats that hunt. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying
yep,
it, but the party itself.
yep.
Just go. What was the deal in Oregon?
IP 28.
IP 28, which would ban hunting, trapping, fishing, ranching, basically anything where an animal is killed or injured, banned completely across the board. And they're trying to put this. This is going to be ballot box biology.
Yeah,
They need
Yep.
117,000 signatures, something like that, and they've already got over 80,000. And they
Yeah,
have
they're going to
until
get the signatures.
yeah, and they're going to slap this on the ballot.
Yep.
And like, okay, well, this is the Democrats, right? The Republicans would never do this. I get it. We suck on public land, but
Well, on this issue, this is the I spoke with the policy lead on this yesterday in Oregon. This is the absolute radical. If you want to call them left, I don't know what you want to call them. These are the real crazy people.
mm,
We're going to win this because the left, the Democrats, the Republicans, everybody's going to oppose this. The majority of people are going to oppose this. I firmly believe that. But we're going to act like we're going to lose this if we don't try. You know what I
mm.
mean? Um, First thing is getting hunters. That's the easy one. Getting them registered to vote. I've heard in Colorado on that wolf deal, there was like 130,000, I don't know, hunting license holders or something like that that didn't even vote. Like
Well, and
we lost by 33,000 votes.
that's
Think about that. That's
inexcusable. But you
crazy.
know what? You know why that is? It's because hunters, by and large, are just leave me alone. I just want to live my life.
Right.
I don't want to tell you what to do. Please don't tell me what to do. Okay, well, I'm sorry. The time for that's come and gone. Like we're
Yeah.
way past that.
Yeah.
You have a vote. You have to use it.
Hmm. So
So,
that's what we're going to try and do. Like we're actually going to start that pretty soon. There's no action to take except for educating folks on, hey, this is what this is.
mhm,
Maybe don't sign it, but they'll probably get the signatures and then they need to be verified and all that. And then it'll be a full-on campaign to we got to win it at the ballot box, you
mhm.
know? Um, I think we will because it's a wild. I mean, this is coming from the craziest of the crazies.
Ending ranching.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if like I'd even be allowed to have chickens
Oh, not if you're going to
anymore.
kill them.
Anything. I can't go down with, you know, my kid can't go with his grandpa bluegill fishing in the pond. It would ban that too. I mean, it's so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting is finding out where the funding is coming from and who it's coming from. The last I checked, I think a lot of that was coming from Colorado.
Oh,
And
shocker.
yeah, shocker.
Governor Polis's buddies.
We're going to be helping Dan out pretty soon. I don't know if Dan's talked to you, but he's got some major issues going on pretty soon
Hmm.
here. We're going to be collaboratively focusing on that too. So again, it comes back and we need everybody's support like we did in 127 to beat all this new shit.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, well, time will tell. But I appreciate the documentary. And do you guys have a call to action out for HR 845?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we
that would be
definitely do.
pretty
I think
important.
we're the only ones right now. Um, we do. It's in our action center. It's howlforwildlife.org / Senate. What is it? Senate Wolf Bill, maybe? I
Okay.
think that's what it is. Yeah,
Well, we're gonna
Senate Wolf.
blast that out, man, and I'm gonna try to get as many people to share that as possible. So I don't
Awesome.
understand why nobody else is, but we'll try to carry as much of the weight as we can.
We reached our target. Actually, I'm just looking at it. So I had 2,000. If I can get 2,000 people, that means actually 4,000 emails because everybody has got two senators. So um, we got 2,062 people that did that. So we actually reached the goal there. I should raise the goal. I mean, that's
Yeah,
nothing. I mean, you know what I mean? Like 2,000
yeah.
people. This is crazy. Why isn't it 10,000?
I was thinking more like 100,000.
Why isn't it 100,000?
Yeah.
100%. I
Hmm.
don't I don't understand.
No, it's a big deal, and you know what it is? It's like once the Democrats take power again, we're not going to have this opportunity. So think about that. We have the House and the Senate right now, and the White House. You think that the Democrats are going to be like, hey, uh, let's propose wolf delisting?
Yeah, no, I don't. No,
So
that's not going to
this
happen.
is the time to strike is right now. We cannot
Yep.
emphasize this. We might not. It might be 30 years before we get this opportunity again. We might never. get it again. So think about that. All right. Y'all follow Howl for Wildlife. Big fan. And always great catching up with you, Charles. What's next? What's next for you?
Man, all the stuff we talked about and right
Are
to
you
hunt
gonna
and
do any
fish.
hunting? Do you turkey hunt? What do you do for fun, man?
Oh,
Come on.
oh yeah, turkey hunt. I guide turkey hunters. I guide mule deer. I guide bear, uh, blacktail.
You
Yeah,
gonna shoot some turkeys this spring?
I will either shoot turkeys or I will guide people to shoot turkeys.
Under those
Um,
Merriams where you're at, or what do you have?
Rios.
Oh, you have Rios. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Rios. Yep.
Right on.
Um, yeah, no, I'll definitely. God, I love turkey hunting. That's so much fun. But I've honestly become. I love also guiding. I mean, it's the same thing.
Oh,
I'm
for
just
sure.
not, I'm just not pulling the trigger, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I hunt a lot and trying to get my wife out because she likes hunting, so that's cool, and my kid and all that. So I'd rather have them hunt. Um, right to hunt and fish, state constitutional levels. We're working on that in Ohio. You should see that maybe this week.
Uh-huh.
Working with IOTR on that, which is an incredible organization, by the way, if you don't know who they are. Their whole focus, they spend all their money on getting the right to hunt and fish at the state constitutional level. The last state was Florida.
Uh-huh. I've only
Um,
recently become aware of them, but I know that
oh,
moniker
dude,
IOTR. Oh, yeah.
they're awesome. They're absolutely awesome. Cool dudes. Their mission is simple and they put their money where their mouth is. Let me tell you what, for real.
Mm.
I won't get into, I've been to some fundraisers and I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are serious.
Yeah.
And that's where they put their money is into
Sound
those
like my people.
campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. So we're working with them. And then shoot, what Gabby Hoffman, right? She posted today because like New Hampshire and then what's the other state is doing a
The
right
one
to hunt and
I
fish.
saw the one she posted about New Hampshire.
And I think, but back to the BHA thing, I think that's coming from BHA. I think they're spearheading that.
Well, kudos to their New Hampshire chapter,
I guess it's yeah, right. But I think that's cool. I mean, I'm in support of that. So,
for sure.
we're going to drive some traffic that way. Getting that right
Absolutely.
to hunt and fish at the state level is such an important step in this whole thing. It really is because it limits who can take away your right to hunt and fish. It really severely limits ballot box biology, and in a lot of states, depends on the language, how much the legislative can take away hunting as well. It really focuses the entire debate and decision making at the commission and the
Mm.
department, which has its problems, but it's a heck of a lot easier to have that debate there than, spending millions of dollars to educate the general non-hunter on what hunting is, and you have 3 months to do it. It's really
Yeah,
hard to do.
absolutely. Well, right on, man. Well, I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Talk
Good talking to
soon.
you.
All right, buddy.